What is going on, you all? Welcome back to another skate progression video. Today we're going to be covering the second half of month 3 of me getting back into skating. And it's kind of funny because as I was going back and editing this footage, I realized I'm almost 30 years old and I'm better at skating than I've ever been in my life. And it took less than 3 months. I did a lot of skating around my neighborhood growing up, but for some reason I never learned the basic tricks. So that's a lot of what I'm doing in this video. So what you're going to see is footage at 3 different skate parks, one of which happens to be my new favorite skate park, and it's one that I haven't recorded yet on this channel. So without spoiling anything, let's go ahead and jump into the first video, which is the second half of my 3rd month getting back into skating. So we are back at 28th Street. I do remember this morning, I was a little slow getting out of bed. We had some visitors in town and we ended up staying out pretty late. And even though I don't drink anymore, I woke up feeling exhausted. So I kind of had that brain fog going on and I was just hoping I could get out there and skate and wash that away a little bit. And I actually did feel a lot better after getting out there and being productive. I'll cut out most of this since that's kind of what my last videos have been about. Started trying to kickflip while rolling again. That one had been on my mind for a while, and that's the next thing that I really wanted to get. I was just trying to correct my form a little bit, try to swipe outwards instead of straight back. And again, the more I tried to swipe outwards and fix my form on the kickflip, the worse they end up getting, so didn't spend too much time on those. And then just some 180 ollies, still trying to get those a little better. And then I started messing with heel flips a little bit, just trying to get the feel for what those are like. And then we are back to the rail slides, again, just trying to get some repetition behind those. I still can't land them consistently hardly at all, especially when I'm further back on the rail, so these are going to take more work than what I originally thought. But at least I'm out there consistently trying them, so I know the more time I put into them, the better they'll get along the way. I've just got to be patient with the process. So we're finally to the part that I wanted to spend some time talking about, and this is doing 50-50s on the boxes and ledges. So this was the next thing on my list that I wanted to learn. I tried these a little bit in my last video, but it was on a much smaller ledge, and it's actually that little manual pad that you see in the background there. But since my ollies are looking better, I wanted to give these a try. And I started these the same way I did in my last video. I just kind of ollied onto them, got the feel for the height and how to pull my back foot up onto the box. And then I put a little bit of speed to it to gauge how it's going to feel trying to do that while in motion. And the main thing I struggle with is just pulling up my back foot and getting the back wheels to lock on. So after a few tries, I went back to stationary, just trying to get the feel for the height of the box and really pulling my foot up onto the box as well. After I did that a few times, I started feeling comfortable with that motion, but I added some repetition on it just to kind of get the muscle memory behind that and just feel more confident going into it as I'm rolling. And again, immediately missing the back foot as soon as I started rolling. Then I finally got the back wheel to go up on it. After some more failed attempts, I think I finally lock in on a few of these. There we have it. Next up, we are at Southside. I was the only person there, so I went ahead and got started on my warm-ups. Started on my pop shove-its, rolling down the ramps, just getting the feel for my balance that day, and finally landing pop shove-its more consistently. Then again, started working on my kickflip form, and still just getting a lot closer on the kickflips while rolling, but it was starting to feel like an uphill battle. It wasn't always the best time. A couple of these kickflip attempts actually looked pretty close. One of the things I figured out, but I didn't know at the time, was that I would be able to get them a lot more consistently if I didn't focus on flicking my foot forward as much. But more on that in the next skate day. And just as I worked on the previous week, I wanted to get back into the ledge slides. The only downfall to this was that it was right in the middle of the lane where everybody wants to skate. And again, I just started stationary, getting the feel for how the height is, trying to get that back foot up onto the ledge. So I added a little bit of speed to it and that just threw everything off. So I just kept drilling it, added some repetition, and slowly started getting a little better. All right, go for it. Damn, and that dude behind me had been trying that rail slide for quite a while. He almost got it. Then a few of those box slides are actually looking a lot better. Started to feel pretty satisfied with the progress.
Real done smoking? You want to save the smoke for later? Okay.
And then the skate park started getting crowded as soon as I was getting close to landing those box slides. People were almost running into each other, just no courtesy for each other, and that's just not the vibe I'm trying to skate in. So I ended up packing up my bags for the day and took my small wins home. And for the last skate session of this month, we finally made it to Texas Beach. This is one of the most well-known skate parks around Richmond, and the reason I haven't been here yet is because it's always so packed, and the people that skate there are pretty damn good, so I just want to stay out of their way. And the really cool thing about this park is it's all a DIY project from the community around Richmond. It's actually pretty freaking awesome. So being that there was only a couple people here, I finally got some footage and was finally able to try skating this area. Unfortunately, I'm not good enough to go shred the hell out of this park, but I was still able to try some tricks on some new ramps in a different environment, so that was pretty sick to me. For the first half of that morning, I was just kind of trying out the different ramps, cruising around, getting a feel for them, and honestly, I was just having fun cruising. But as I was cruising around, some of the local community members ended up rolling some big tractor tires onto the skate park, and they started painting them, so I wanted to give them some space and let them do their thing. Turns out they were actually making a community playground, and they were spray painting those tires to go on the playground. So I thought that was pretty cool that people were also doing a DIY playground type thing. And as the park picked up a little bit, I found a lonesome little pad on the side that I could try my flat ground tricks on. I was determined today to get that rolling kickflip. Luckily, that little spot had some shade on it too. So I locked in and just tried back to back to back to back on these kickflips. But I think one of the coolest things about this skate park is that the vibe of everybody there was just so chill and everybody was so cool. Everybody was talking to each other, supporting each other. And then one of the guys actually saw that I was recording and somebody was landing some badass tricks. So he called me over there to come record. And it was actually a pretty good time just trying out my camera. I've never actually recorded other people skating, so being able to film people do stuff that was way out of my skill level was actually a pretty cool experience, and it just made me want to get better.
Hey.
Man, he was getting so close to landing that I had to include it in the video.
Hey, it was nice meeting you, bro. Jack, until next time.
Yes, sir.
So after BSing with everybody for a little bit, I ended up going back to my little humble corner and started working on my kickflips again. Because like I said, I was determined to get a rolling kickflip today. And even after landing primo and busting my ass, I got back up and fought through it. And again, just everybody around here is just so chill, supportive, and this dude just rolled up and started talking to me on his bike. And after a quick conversation, I was back at it. And with due time, they were getting better. And when I was finally getting closer, one of the new homies took recognition of it. It's always a good feeling. So what I started noticing about my kickflips is that the more I was trying to kick outwards and make them look fancy, the further away I was getting from landing them. Until I found kind of a middle ground from the way I used to do kickflips and the way I'm trying to do kickflips. Not exactly swiping straight back, and I'm not exactly swiping straight forward either. But somewhere along the way, I found a sweet spot, and they started to feel more comfortable and consistent the more I kept trying them. Until finally, we landed. After hours and hours in changing my form, trying to find the sweet spot on my footing, I was finally able to figure out what worked for me. Oh man, this dude was so funny.
Some fresh pain to wake me up. You know, I ate 7 donuts last night. I deserve that. I need to get my ass beat a little bit.
I sit there and talk to that dude for like 30 minutes after I was done skating. My little shade spot was starting to turn into sunlight, so I landed primo and busted my ass a couple more times, and after that we called it a day. All right, welcome back. So as you can see, age really isn't a factor when you're getting back into skateboarding. It's more about your physical ability and conditioning. And once you get through that soreness phase, it's actually really similar to how it was growing up. And in many ways, it's actually easier than it was growing up because now we have an understanding of how hard work pays off and how sometimes it can feel like an uphill battle. But as long as you keep your eye on that goal, you can work towards it and get there in time, just like anything else in life. So what are you waiting for? Let's get out there and go skate.